Today is Thursday, November 5, 2009. Mr. Arnold Chafin is at the Macomb Catholic Services located at 15945 Canal Road, Clinton Township, Michigan. Mr. Chafin is 85 years old, and his birth date is March the 20th, 1924. Mr. Chafin currently resides at 15894 19 Mile Road, Clinton Township, Michigan. My name is Dave Brousseau, and I will be the interviewer, and Mr. Paul Wilhelm will be the videographer. Mr. Chafin, would you state for the record the branch of service that you served?
U.S. Army Air Force.
All right, Arnold, if I may call you Arnold.
Yes.
Let's go back and start out when you were still at home, and give us a little bit of background about where you lived, where you went to school.
I lived in Hamilton, Ohio. I was going to Hamilton High School, and the government came along and drafted me. The principal says anybody, you boys that get letters from be drafted to come down and see me. So I went down to see him, and he says, well, Arnold says, you're failing in one subject. I said, yes, sir, but I'm taking 5 solid subjects, and I'm only supposed to be taking 4. I can't help you. I says, goodbye. I went on about my business and stayed in school. Uncle Sam came along and said, we want you. So they drafted me. I went down in Kentucky, got in, sworn into the U.S. Army Air Force. I asked for the Navy. They wouldn't take me in the Navy because I had a twin brother in the Navy. They wouldn't take me in the Navy because I had false teeth. So I went into the U.S. Army Air Force and had never regretted a moment of it.
U.S. Army Air Force?
That was the U.S. Army Air Force. And that's where I was in there. I don't remember how many years. They changed it to Air Force.
Now, you apparently didn't have an option, from what you're telling us, as to what branch of the service.
They came along and said, we're going to put you in the U.S. Army Air Force. And they said, we're going to send you an airplane mechanic school.
Were you at the time living at home?
I was living at home.
How big was your family?
I had 4 brothers and 1 sister. There was 6 of us.
And where were you in that row?
I was next to the last one. I had a twin brother, but I was older than he was.
Were any of your brothers drafted also?
Yes, 5 of them, or 4 of them were drafted. There was 5 of us in the service at the same time, and 1 enlisted, that was my twin brother. He was the only one enlisted, the rest of them were drafted.
What branch of the service?
2 of them in the Navy, 1 in the Army, the medics, and then another brother was, 1 brother in the Army, 2 in the Navy, and I was in the Air Force. That's 4, huh? And there was 2 in the Navy and the rest of us in the Army. Air Force and the Army.
Where did you say you went now for boot?
For boot training?
Yeah.
Went to, first of all, I went down to Fort Thomas, Kentucky. That's where I was inducted. And from there they sent me to Tallahassee, Florida. Right, wait a minute. Goldsboro, North Carolina. Airplane mechanics school.
Why did they put you into airplane mechanics?
Because I went through a test. They gave me a test, a mechanical test. And I knew if I went this way with one button and that way with another button, this button would go this way. That's exactly what it was. If this button turns right and this button turns left, which way does this one go? That's one of the questions. There was a lot of questions.
Were you working at all
No,
prior to being enlisted?
I was in school, high school,
So
11th grade.
You had no training of any kind?
No, the only training I had was yard work. I worked for a man and his wife that lived right outside of town, and I worked for them yard work. Then I worked with the groundskeeper. That's the only work I did.
Do you recall the first days that you spent in boot, and what were they like?
Yeah, I enjoyed every bit of it. Enjoyed getting up in the morning, doing this and doing that, going parading, what have you, walking, and I enjoyed it. I was at home in the service.
Were there any experiences that you had that you'd like to share with us? Some interesting experiences, or even your instructors that stand out in your mind?
Well, one experience I had was in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Goldsboro, North Carolina. Wait a minute. There was a place in Georgia I was stationed, and we were swimming in the Sound, and had a couple rowboats, and there was quite a few of us. And the tide was going out, and I looked, and this one guy was going out with the tide, hollering, help. I didn't see anybody, so I dove in, went out with him. And as I went in, I hollered at two of the guys I was with. Well, they grabbed the rowboat right away and followed me. We got that guy before he got out too far out, and he was almost gone, but we got him in the boat and pulled him back in. And I never saw so much thank you in all my life as he gave us. I never will forget that. What made me do that, I don't know. I just saw him needing help. I jumped right in. Of course, I was a good swimmer. It didn't bother me.
Did you get the Purple Heart for that?
No records of it. We were just happy that everything had turned out like it did.
All right, give us a time frame now. You were drafted at when?
1943, March 10th, 1943. I got out, March. I got out, I went in March and came out January. I went in March 10th of 43 and came out January 25th of 45.
Now, we're in the middle of a nasty war. What was it like knowing you're gonna go to war?
Well, the war, the only thing about the war that bothered us was when we were in China. 25 miles one side of us, the Chinese were fighting the Japanese. 25 miles the other side of us, the United States were fighting the Japanese. We were in the middle of it.
Yeah, but you're in boot camp.
Oh,
What are
in
you
boot camp.
thinking about going to war?
Oh, boot camp didn't bother me. Like I say, I enjoyed every bit of it. Just wondering when the hell he's going to send us next.
When did you find that out?
When he's going to send us next?
Yeah,
About a week before we moved.
and where did they send you?
Well, let's see, I left Kentucky and I went to, California. Douglas Aircraft. Trained to be a mechanic.
Okay, how long did you stay there?
6 months.
How was that?
That was beautiful. We lived in a hotel.
I'm sure none of these places you've ever seen before, so
I never
every time you went somewhere, it was a brand new experience.
It's all new experience. And 18 years old, hell, I was all ready to take it.
You lived right on base in the barracks, and,
Yeah, except in California, we lived in a hotel.
oh, really?
Yeah, because we were at the factory school, Douglas Aircraft.
Okay.
We were I don't remember how many of us there were, but
So what specific type of mechanic were you training for?
just, when they sent us to China because the airplanes got shut down over there real easy. We went in and our job was to change engines. They'd fly us from our spot in China into where the plane was shut down. We'd take the old engine off. By then, they had another airplane come in with a brand new engine. We had Chinese coolies help us unload the engines and help us put them on the airplane. And then they send a pilot in to take the one we changed, fly it back to its base. Then they'd have another C-47 come in and take us to another airplane that was shot down. We did that 7 different times when we was in China. 7 different engines, or 7 different airplanes.
Now, you would repair the engine, or you would pull it out?
Take it off, throw it away. It was shut down. It was no good.
So why would you want to take the airplane engine out?
Put a new one in. They'd bring us a new engine in, we put the new engine in.
Okay. Was there part of the aircraft that you'd have to repair also?
Oh yeah, not much of it.
No.
No. We had different guys that took care of that. like we.
Now, let's go back to California where you were training.
Mhm.
You were there 6 months, and then your next assignment was,
Down in, North Carolina, Seymour Johnson Air Base, North Carolina.
okay, now what was your assignment there?
Taking care of the airplanes that landed. There was this station there, it was an Army air base. We set stationed on the air base, keeping the airplanes in the air. That, we did everything besides change engines.
What kind of airplanes?
Mostly P-47s and P-40s. P-47s and P-40s. And anything that came along, we fixed. But mostly P-47s was the ones that was stationed there.
Now, my guess is there were a lot of transitions to newer aircraft once the war started. So they were moving out of the P-47s, P-40s into more modern type planes, weren't they?
We didn't get any of them. We didn't get any see any jets.
Well, I mean, even still the piston engines.
Well, all we worked on was the P-47s and the P-40s.
Okay. And that was like a normal work day, you come in and work, and go home at night?
Yeah.
At that point, how long were you there?
I don't remember how long I was there.
Then what was your next assignment?
That's when I headed for China after I left Seymour Johnson. I headed for China.
Okay, where in China? Where?
Well, we went in I left Hampton Roads, Virginia, and I don't remember whether we landed in Bombay or Calcutta, but we drove over the hump and, what do you call it? That big route, a big mountain road over in India or China, I forget which.
Are you talking about the supply road?
That's a regular road.
Yeah.
It's there all the time.
Uh-huh,
And we drove it in truck, not airplane. We
Yeah.
went over in the trucks.
yeah.
All of us went over in trucks. From Bombay to Calcutta and, Bombay, Calcutta, I forget the other one. But I can't even remember what town we were near in China. It was just a small town. But like I tell everybody, I made a complete trip around the world, crossed the United States 4 times in a train, and I have never ran into any dope. The closest I ever came to dope was we walking down the street in China, going down to get something to eat at one of the restaurants. The other guys that had been there before me, they said, see those guys over there in the basement? You know, those old men over there? They're smoking opium. That's the closest I ever came to dope all the time I was in the service.
So you get to China and you're gonna be doing the same thing, repairing
That's that.
engines?
We didn't stay in one place. We flew every time the plane was shot down. We flew to it and changed its engine.
What kind of area was it when you flew in to repair the engine? Was this
Country.
behind the enemy lines?
20 miles on one side, the Chinese were fighting the Japanese, 20 miles on the other side. We had no fight, we saw nothing whatsoever. We didn't even hear a gunshot.
Really?
Yeah. One thing I do remember, they always contacted the Chinese people in advance that we were coming and they were prepared for us. And this one, I don't know whether he was a farmer or what he was, but he helped us to get along with it because he spoke English. And one thing he wanted, he says, there's only one thing I like to have. I like to have the clock out of that engine that you're gonna get rid of.
The clock?
It's the clock, you know, the little clock that they have. I gave it to him. And I got back and I told my commanding officer about it. He said, that's fine. That's all he wanted was that clock. He didn't want any money or anything.
I mean, did they have electricity there at the time?
Oh, they did, sure.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they had electricity, but this was a clock out of the airplane. He should want a clock out of the airplane.
Now, how long were you in China then with this
No,
engine?
about a year.
About a year?
Little over a year.
Then where did you go?
Came back to the United States and they said goodbye.
Is that right?
I was discharged at Camp Atterbury, Indiana. Camp Atterbury, Indiana.
So you spent how long now in China?
I lived about a year.
About a year.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
I enjoyed it. I was awfully glad to get back to the United States. It's nothing like the United States.
Never scare you to be in crossed enemy lines and,
No, I just didn't think of it. But today, I used to live in Arizona. We used to go to Canada, or Mexico. I never went to Mexico any more times than I had to. I didn't like it. I don't even like to go to Canada here. I just don't like to cross the state line. Now why? I don't know.
how did you stay in touch with your family?
Telephone and mail.
Were you a good letter writer?
Well, I don't know if it's any good or not, but I used to write a lot of them.
Yeah. Did you have anybody back here that was,
My mother and father were here.
that was it, you,
And then my brother and my sister was here.
okay?
This is in Ohio. My other brothers were in the
So you
service.
didn't have a girlfriend or anybody
Oh,
special?
yeah, I had a girlfriend, sure.
What did she think about where you were?
She didn't have anything to say about it.
She didn't have any feelings about it?
No, she didn't. What could she feel about it?
When you went on leave, where would you go?
I had one furlough. My father passed away. That's all, we came back for him and that was it.
So they shipped you all the way back home for that, huh?
They didn't ship me, I paid my way home.
Did you?
Yeah.
But they let you out for that?
They let me out for, I think it was 14 days. Quickest 14 days I ever spent.
How long would it have taken you to get home from where you were?
2 days.
So you're talking about 4 days of travel out of 14, huh?
Yeah. Most of them was by bus.
When you got out, what happened after you got out of the service?
Well,
Did you
first of
go
all,
right back to work right away,
I
or?
went right to work right away. I got out of the service and I lived in Hamilton, Ohio. 13 miles north of me was Middletown, Ohio, where they built Aeronautica airplanes. So I went up there and see about a job. Yeah, they're gonna hire me, 73 cents an hour. In Hamilton, Ohio, where I lived, I could ride the bicycle to the paper mill. I went on the paper mill, 78 cents an hour. So I took the job at the paper mill.
Now, was that good at the time, or?
That was good at the time. And I worked myself from trimmer, I was trimming paper. I went into the machine shop as a clerk. I got a job as a clerk in there. And then from there I went down to Atomic Energy Commission, where I was supervisor over maintenance men. So I went from one job of being told what to do to a job of telling what to do.
So for all this relatively 1 year of training, plus all of the previous training in engines, you never got back into that kind of stuff when you got out?
No,
So those skills you just weren't able to apply to the
never
workplace?
applied to them.
When you're in China, what was the food like?
Food was very good. I had no trouble with the food whatsoever.
I don't imagine you ever saw any of that food before, did you?
No, a lot of it I never saw before, until I got over there. But where we ate at the barracks, when we ate on
Oh, that's right too, yeah.
at the barracks, we had American food.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anytime we did one that got tired of American food, we walked down to the corner to the restaurant and ate in the restaurant.
Did you ever have some free time to go into some local town to see how things were?
Oh, because the town we lived nearby, we used to go in quite often.
What was that like?
But no different than here. Got a movie to go to, a restaurant to go to. I didn't, what do you say, participate in bars because I wasn't a drinker.
How did the Chinese people treat you?
They treated us very nice,
Very friendly?
very friendly, yeah. We were there for their purpose, and they knew that. I can't hold anything against the Chinese. I don't like to buy anything made in China, but that's one of those things. If you want a heating pad, you have to buy it made in China.
And you only had one furlough, and that was a death in the family.
Yeah.
were you able to take any time to get and see any of the surrounding area or cities, or?
When we was over in China,
Yeah,
oh yeah, we had our own time off. But we didn't do much traveling. We stayed in the barracks most of the time.
well, I imagine you're in a war zone, there's not a whole lot of places you can go, is there?
That's right, no. And it's, we say, wasn't scary, but wasn't intelligent to do, to go too far from the base.
Yeah. Were there any unusual friendships that you made that you were able to keep after you left?
No, I don't think so, not that I remember. I remember a lot of guys, but I haven't associated with them. I've got other things to do, my wife take care of.
But while you were there, you must have had some.
Oh, yeah, well, there, I had all kinds of friends there.
Mhm.
Yeah. You went to town, you never went to town by yourself.
Yeah. Any experiences that you remember that were noteworthy?
No, I don't remember. If I wake up in the middle of the night and think of one, I'll let you know, right?
Okay. So you never really saw any combat, although you were.
Never saw any combat. And that did make me a good man.
They used to have visits from celebrities from the U.S.
Uh-huh.
that would go down there, like the Bob Hope Troop, and
Uh-huh.
did you ever get to see any of those?
Not that I remember. I don't remember any of them, so I don't think I ever saw any of them, because I'd remembered if I had them.
Never heard about those, eh? Did you like the work?
Oh, yes, I enjoyed the work. That's why I wanted to go back to it when I got out of service, but cheaper to work at the paper mill than it was at the aircraft factory. I mean, it's better pay with that.
Did it ever cross your mind to stay in and re-up?
No. No.
You mentioned that you got out in 1945.
Five?
Was the war over yet?
No. That's when the Korean War started, wasn't it? Wait, I don't remember when the war was over or not. 45? I don't remember.
So you got in 1943 and you got out in 46.
45, wasn't it?
Well, you got written down here 46 unless I can't read too well. January 1946.
46, that's right, 43, that's right, okay.
So the war is over then. So
Yes.
the last part of your stay in the service must have been a piece of cake because there was no war. How quickly after the war ended do you remember being shipped back to the U.S. or were you already in the U.S. when it ended?
I was in the U.S. when it ended.
Okay.
Because they were talking about the Japanese leaving China when we left. So we felt like, well, we caused them to leave, so that's not really.
Nothing wrong with that?
Hell no.
Was there a reaction from the local Chinese folks when they found out the Japanese were leaving? And, you know, did it spill over into their relationship with you folks?
They seemed happier.
I imagine.
Things kind of picked up. You could tell there was a change. You could tell there was a change. And you stop and think, well, yeah, that's what the change is. The Japanese are leaving. So,
Yeah, I'm sure that,
it didn't make us mad either.
no, I'm sure that all happening at the same time might have been
Yeah.
the result of your stay there, which obviously is pretty good. Did you join any veterans organization when you got out?
American Legion.
American Legion?
Yeah.
Some of the men, when they came home, set up reunions so that you could visit with some of the people you were in the service with. Did you do any of that?
No, never did.
So you've never seen or heard from anybody since you left?
Since I left, no. I was always busy in American Legion. My father-in-law belonged to joined the Seabees. And when he came out, he joined the American Legion, so I joined the American Legion also.
Mhm.
And we used to quite active in the American Legion. They had something going on all the time. And that kept me busy for quite a while.
Did you ever think about taking advantage of the GI Bill and going back and getting some more training or schooling?
No, but I did get, due to the fact that they drafted me, I got my high school diploma.
Oh, good, how did you get that?
Going to GED test. And I went to college and got a degree the government paid for.
Well, that's great.
So that's right.
What kind of a degree did you get?
I got a degree in business.
What college did you go to?
I went to Glendale Community College in Glendale, Arizona.
Is that where you finished?
That's where I finished.
That's where you finished.
We left Ohio after we been married for I don't remember how many years, and we moved to Arizona because the doctor said both of our daughters had to go to a hot and dry climate. They couldn't stand in Ohio anymore, so we moved to Arizona.
Did your time in the service change your views of the war or Japan, or
No.
were you much aware of what was going on before you enlisted or got drafted?
Oh yeah, I knew what was going on because I was always worried about getting drafted before I finished high school. But after it's all over with, I'm glad things happened like they did. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to be away from there and here, eh?
But I have no complaints about being in the service.
Were there any unusual events that might have occurred while you were in that are worth sharing with us? I say, for example, in the China, were there any unusual things?
No, it was kind of boring for a while, but always something to do every day.
Was there a lot of this changing engines type of thing going on, or was that?
No, we would get busy, yeah. Well, like I say, we changed 7 of them. We flew out to them, besides all the work we did around the base. So we were kept busy.
How big a base was this that you're on?
It wasn't too big. It was, I don't remember how many people on it, but there was it had its own flight crew stationed there. P-47s and P-50, P-40s and P-47s, I think it was. And there's enough to keep you busy. Like I say, it was 7 of us that always went out on the trips. And then we had other guys that followed too after us to clean up. And we had a crew that went in and made everything available before we got there. So when we got there, everything was ready. You know, the neighbors and all the people that were associated with, who we were to contact and who we weren't to contact. So whoever was doing that.
You must have had equipment in the plane when you went.
Had everything in the plane, including the engine. And when they brought it in.
Because you still had to hoist the engine out and put the new one in,
And that came with it when they brought the engine. And the thing is, we used to get the Chinese to help us take them out. No complaints whatsoever. They always wanted to help. Didn't cost us anything either, except that one clock.
How long would it take you to change an engine out in the field?
About a week. That's just guessing more or less, because it's different. It all depends on where it was and how careful you had to be. So it's different. But it's very interesting. And it made you feel good to see one shot down, then see one fly, the one you fixed fly away.
Yeah.
Now, who would test it after you put it in?
The pilot would bring it in. They'd fly a pilot in to fly it away. He would test it, pre-flight it. And if he said it was okay, we'd wave up by to him and away he'd go. But we never had the same pilot twice. I don't know whether that's good or bad.
I think I heard you made a comment about a coolie. Coolie?
Coolie?
Yeah, referring to the Chinese.
Yeah.
Did I hear you say that?
No, you didn't.
I've heard that word before,
Yeah,
that they,
that's what they call them, coolies,
coolie.
yeah. We never called them that, never had to.
What does that mean?
It's just a, guy walking down the street, trashy guy, not dressed very good, don't know what the hell he's doing or anything.
Okay,
Ah, look at that coolie going there.
I've heard that word before, but I've never
That's all
known.
it is. It's not exactly a pleasant word to use to call somebody,
Yeah,
but they use it over there. They themselves use it.
yeah, yeah.
But very interesting.
So you came back home. How about your brothers?
They all made it back.
They all made it back.
We came out backwards of what we went in. The last one out was the first, the last one in was the first one out. My twin brother was the first one in, he was the last one out. Because he was the enlistee.
Did you get together
Oh yeah, we used to get
to
together.
talk about your
Oh,
experiences?
yeah, yeah. The one brother was in the army, he was in the medics, he was on the ship, spent most of the time on the ship, come bringing wounded GIs back from overseas. He spent most of his time doing that. And the one brother, now get this, one brother was under doctor's care. They drafted him, sent him to California. The first 8 hours of the day, he was in a hospital. The first 4 hours of the day, he was in a hospital, taking tests.
Mhm.
Second 8 hours of the day, he was policing the grounds, picking up trash off the grounds. Then he'd go back to his barracks. Next day, he'd go to the hospital, take more tests. 4 hours, and then 4 hours, he'd police the ground. Now, this is what he told us he did when he was in the service. But he was drafted under doctor's care.
Wow.
Now, don't that make a lot of sense?
No, it doesn't, but
That does.
a lot of that stuff didn't anyhow.
My
so-
mother and father couldn't understand it either, but that's what they did. But he enjoyed it. He came out happy. We all came out happy, so that's what counts.
Did they take advantage of going back to school to try to get some more training or education when they came out?
No.
No?
My twin brother, he never did get a high school diploma. But he got a job at a steel mill in Middletown, Ohio. He was happy. He stayed up there quite a while until he passed away.
Mhm.
And the oldest brother, went to a paper mill, got a job at the paper mill. And then they opened up a automobile place in Hamilton. He went down there and got a job, was real happy with it. And the next, the oldest brother, Philip, where the hell he worked? I forget where he worked. He moved around quite a bit. And then Eddie, the twin to my sister, I don't remember where he worked either. But I remember where I worked, that's all that counted. But we used to get together and have a big ball all the time. Talk about what we did, what we didn't do, and what we should have done.
Yeah. What was the weather like in China?
It's just like weather here.
Yeah.
Have good weather and bad weather.
They had good food on the base?
Yes, yeah. And like I say, if we got tired of it, we'd go to town and get some Chinese food.
Is it true that this food we call here as Chinese food, really Chinese food?
Some of them never saw China. What is it, the food that they say is Chinese food, eggs and bacon and stuff like that? We were on a train going to one of the spots, and we were in a caboose. And the guy who was in charge of the caboose fixed us a meal. And I mean, he fixed us a meal. And that's just what it tasted like. Bacon, eggs, and potatoes fried together. Ah, damn, we kept, give me some more, give me some more. What made it so good, I don't know. But I never will forget that meal.
Hmm. Now, where were you in the States when it was time for you to be discharged?
They came back from overseas and sent me to Camp Atterbury, Indiana. And discharged me from Atterbury.
Now, did you know this was coming, or
Oh, yeah,
was it a surprise?
No, I knew. When we got aboard ship in China, there was, well, first of all, we went over, there was 6,000 of us went over. It took us 32 days to get there.
Hmm.
Did you hear that? 32 days aboard ship. Coming back, there was 32 of us, 72 of us, and that included the crew. 28 days. We were supposed to land in LA, and 2 days before we got to LA, they announced we're gonna go to Seattle, because we gotta get into calmer waters. Why? A sailor got drunk and fell down an open hatch and broke a lot of one of his ribs, so we had to go to calmer waters. Now, this is what they tell you aboard ship. How true it is, I don't know. Well, we came in through Seattle.
Now, this is just a troop ship?
No, this was just it was an auxiliary cargo ship. Just the 72, included the crew.
And I imagine it rode beautifully on the water.
Well, I never went up on the only time any time I was below deck, I laid down. Otherwise I'd get sick. I could go up and stand up on deck and walk around the deck, no problem. As soon as I went below deck, if I didn't lay down, I got sick.
Yes, I've heard about those trips. What'd your mom think when she finally got all of her boys back home?
Oh, it's hard to say, hard to remember. She was so happy. Father was the same one, he wasn't around, but he enjoyed it too. But she did make a remark, glad all 5 of you came back.
Yeah. And I suspect they all staggered home different times,
Oh, yeah.
much like they went in, huh?
Not to change the subject or anything, but my one brother, next to the oldest brother, his name was Philip. And he was married to Irene. And then my twin brother, my sister, was Eddie. Eddie came home in the house one day and my mom says, "Eddie, what's this? Philip and Irene getting divorced? How come?" He says, "Mom, I don't know." He says, "Here he comes, ask him." So he walks in out. "Philip, how come you and Irene are getting a divorce?" "Oh, Mom, I caught her in bed with another man and locked the door and beat the hell out of her." That brother, I never heard him cuss. I never heard him say a cuss word. All of our together we're together. None of us ever heard him say a cuss word. But he said, "Yeah, I beat hell out of her." It sounds so funny to hear him say that. Now, whether that was true or not, we don't know. Whether he was just pulling Mom's leg or what. But he did get a divorce from her, but we don't know how true it was. But I never will forget that. Certain things that stick in my mind.
Well, how did you meet your wife then?
Well, my wife went to going to high school together. And my first wife. And 21, we got married. We had 2 kids. We lived in Ohio. And then, like I say, I had to move both the kids to Arizona. We moved to Arizona. And while we were in Arizona, the youngest daughter met a fellow who was from Washington, the state of Washington, going to the university down there in Arizona. So they got pretty close together. So he left, graduated, went back to Washington. He invited her up. And his mother and father invited her up. She stayed at their house. And they went out for a ride. And a drunken sailor ran into him and killed her.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And the first thing that he said when the cops got there, he was pretty bad off himself. "It wasn't my fault, it wasn't my fault." And there was witnesses around told who it was. Well, the sailor took off. But they finally found him, after a couple of years, they found him, who he was. And he says, made a remark about one of the cops said something about how fast he was going. He said he wasn't driving. It wasn't him. And somebody said something about how fast. "I wasn't going that fast." That right there told him it was him. But what they ever did to him, we don't know. We lived in Arizona, and he was in Washington. But after a while, my wife and I moved to Washington because it got too hot in Arizona for her. And the daughter and son-in-law and two great-grandkids moved to Washington too. That's where they're living in. That's where I was living when she and I got married. And she lived there with me for 10 years in Washington.
Uh-huh.
And then she wanted to come back here because she used to live here. She got two sons and a daughter lives there and a bunch of grandkids. So we've been there for 12 years. How long did we stay in Washington? 10 years? About time to go back to Washington, didn't it? If she was able, I would be back here. If she's not able, she has a valve in her heart. The doctors keep on, she's got back problem, broken bone in her back, and the doctor keep on operating. And our heart specialist says, Mr. Chafin, don't let anybody touch her back because of her valve in her heart.
So you said, how many children did you have?
I had two.
Two?
Yeah, she had three.
And are they in the area or?
Three of them live here.
Oh, wow.
Mine lives in the state of Washington. I got two great-grandchildren, they live in Washington.
So how often do you get to see them?
They've been out here twice, 10 years. About ready to come out again.
Good. So you've never been there?
Huh?
Have you gone there?
To Washington?
Yeah?
I haven't been back here since I've been here.
No.
I live at Bella Villa. I'm waiting for the Veterans Affairs to come through and help me. 13 months. They finally decided to help me. But the paperwork that the lawyer sent to Detroit, the Veterans Fair in Detroit, they lost the paperwork.
They lost.
Yeah, so we gotta get some more paperwork. I don't know, Veterans Affairs sure turned me down on it.
So what kind of help are you expecting to get?
Help my wife, monthly rent,
Mm-hmm.
right? It cost me $3,008 a month. I mean, I got moved out of a 2-bedroom into a 1-bedroom. I'm paying $2,000 a month. I can stand that for a while, but not very damn long.
Is this a special care type?
That's a special, it's Veterans Affairs assistance,
Mm-hmm.
what they call a cost of living help.
Mm-hmm.
And they've okayed it now.
Oh, they have?
They've okayed it, now we're just waiting for them to get the paperwork done. And my doctor sent a report to him that something about me not being able to handle the money. I don't know why, but I'm not gonna worry about it as long as I get it.
Yeah.
But they're supposed to pay me retroactive since September, $1,864 a month. When I get that, I'll tell them all high. But I've got appointed her daughter to take care of it. Went through the lawyer, appointed to Veterans Affairs for her to take care of it. And so far, it's working out pretty good. As they say, it's gonna be at least another 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Not any more than 2 more months.
Did you bring some stuff for us to see?
Well, I brought some, what do you call them? These things.
Oh, goodness.
You see, I don't keep having a folder or anything.
Oh, I see.
Metals, that's the word I was trying to think of, metal.
Well, can you tell us what these are?
Yeah. Wait a minute, oh, this is glasses.
I was just about to ask you about any medals or service awards. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. This one was the Efficiency Award.
Efficiency Award,
Mm-hmm.
Honorable Service, no, that is not it. World Tour Victory Medal, Asian Pacific Campaign Medal, American Campaign Medal, and the Good Conduct Medal.
Now, these, I'm thinking are medals that you won or received from being in occupied territories for the most part,
just for being in the service.
World War II.
Here's the one right here. Remember the ruptured duck?
Oh, where have I heard that one before now?
That's what everybody, first thing that GI put on when he got out was that button. People said, you out of the service? Oh, I see you served in the service.
What was this for?
That's for being in service.
Just being in the service?
Just being in service, that's what they call the ruptured duck.
I've heard that before, and I don't remember what was.
They call it the honorable service lapel button.
This is the Asiatic Pacific Command.
American campaign, yeah,
Campaign.
Asiatic Pacific, yeah, campaign medal. And then there's the World War II victory medal.
Okay, that would have been the one I just showed you, the Victory Medal.
I think, yeah, American campaign.
And this one is the American campaign. I don't know what that's for, but. I think this came out, should have been attached.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This one we've already done,
Okay.
okay.
Seen these?
Anything else?
That's it.
What is that,
Well, this one, discharge. The other one they let. Separation?
discharge? They don't, I thought they had somebody important sign this. Apparently not, eh? How do we know that's
But the original
official?
one is, yeah.
How do we know that's official? Maybe you're still in the service.
Take my word for it.
I've seen one airplane and engine mechanic. General air repair, maintenance, work on all types of airplanes, engines, sometimes replaced entire motors,
You hear that? What did you say?
sometimes replaced entire motors.
That's not a motor, it's an engine.
Sure. What was this?
That's my glass case.
Oh,
Well, some guy sent a this, fill that out.
what's that other,
This here?
yeah. This was,
That's all of us.
oh, this is your family.
Yeah, that's
My,
my brother.
this must have been that interview you said you had,
Yeah.
okay? All these guys are handsome, where are you?
You don't see that guy right there? Wait,
Right there?
right there.
Oh.
That's me and that's my, here's my twin brother.
Okay,
That's the oldest, that's the next to the oldest, and then that's twin to the sister, and that's us twins here.
whoa, what did you say about this one?
Twin to my sister,
Oh, I see. So you had two twins in the
two
family?
sets of twins, yeah.
Wow. You know, I was kinda young when this was going on, and it was kinda, nice when people had stars in their window for the
Yeah, yeah.
flag. There was a lot of support
Oh, yeah,
locally
yeah.
for that. Boy, to have a nice picture like this with five in the service, my goodness, your mom must have been the queen of the,
Neighborhood. Everybody used to walk
My
by
goodness.
just to look at the picture. This was right, when we got that posted, was right after that family of 6 got killed, or
Uh-huh.
a family of 5 got killed all at one time. And they said they were gonna stop letting.
Oh,
brothers
they were
join
the
same-
Sullivans.
Sullivan, yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna stop letting brothers get in the
Yeah.
same service.
Yeah. Well, Arnold, thank you very much for sharing all of this with us. It's very interesting, and I'm glad you took the time to come in
Oh, I feel
and bring your lovely wife with you.
Yeah.
Were you able to keep in touch with your brothers while you were all in service?
Oh, yeah, we worked
Yeah.
each other all the time.
The first time I was in
Yeah.
the-
Not a whole lot, but we were in touch all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed the
And your first husband was also in China? Your first husband was also in the service?